Mr. President, we're in the midst of a debate on the floor of the United States Senate on the issue of immigration. It's the first time in 5 years we've taken up this issue. There are many compelling reasons for us to get this right. President Trump, on September the 5th, announced that he was going to end the DACA program, a program created by executive order of President Obama, which protects 780,000 young people who are undocumented in the United States. The elimination of that program officially on March 5th, just a few weeks away, will mean that these young people, and many just like them, will be subject to deportation and no longer allowed to work legally in the United States. President Trump challenged Congress to do something about it, to pass a law. Well, as you can see, more than 5 months have passed and we haven't done that. But we have a chance this week to get it right. We have a chance to make this work. This morning, I want to come to the floor in a very brief time, tell the story of two young women. The first one is a young woman whose name is Teresa Lee. Teresa Lee is the reason for the DREAM Act, legislation that I introduced 17 years ago. Teresa was born in Brazil. Her parents were from Korea, but they traveled to Brazil first. And then she was brought to the United States at the age of 2, and eventually made it to Chicago, Illinois. Her father wanted to be a Protestant minister and to start a church. That was his dream, and he worked at it. They were a poor family. They didn't have much money to start with. But he pursued his dream, gathered some people together in church settings. Her mother went to work at a dry cleaner's in Chicago, which is not uncommon. The vast majority of dry cleaning establishments in that city are run and owned by Korean families. It's a hard job, a lot of hours, but she was prepared to work to feed her family, Teresa and her brothers and sisters. Teresa, during the course of her father's ministry, started banging away on an old piano in the back of the church and then fell in love with the instrument. Someone gave her family a discarded piano, and she spent hours each day practicing. She signed up for something called the Merit Music Program in Chicago, which is available for kids in public schools who can't afford lessons, and she developed her skill as a pianist to the point where when she'd reached high school, she actually was playing with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. Well, people took notice of it and said, Teresa, you've got to go forward with this skill of yours, this amazing skill, and apply to the best music school. She did, Juilliard School of Music, Manhattan School of Music, and she was accepted. She did run into a problem. When it came time to fill out the forms to go to school, there was a section there where she had to declare her nationality or citizenship. She said to her mom, what do I put here? And her mom said, I don't know. We brought you here on a visitor's visa and we never filed any more papers. Technically, Teresa Lee was an undocumented person in America. She didn't have any legal status. So she contacted our office and asked what she could do. That was 17 years ago. We took a look at the law, and the law is pretty brutal for those who are undocumented in this country. It basically said to this 18-year-old girl, you have to leave the United States for 10 years and petition to come back in and apply for green card status and citizenship. 10 years. Brought here at the age of 2, she was being banished by our laws from the United States and given no future. That's when I introduced the DREAM Act, for her initially, but for many others in similar circumstances. Kids brought here to America as infants and toddlers, young children, young teenagers who had no home, who had no country. They'd gone to our public schools and pledged allegiance to the same flag that we pledge allegiance to each morning, but there was no legal status for them. Well, the story has a happy ending for Teresa Lee. Even though the DREAM Act is not the law of the land, benefactors stepped forward and paid for her education at the Manhattan School of Music. She ended up with a PhD in music. She ended up playing piano in Carnegie Hall. She now is married, and because of that marriage, has become a legal citizen of the United States and is the mother of 2. That's the story of Teresa Lee, a Korean-American young woman who, in her way, with her musical skill, makes America a better nation. There's another Korean-American girl I would like to salute as well today. Her face may be more familiar. 1982, a Korean immigrant came to the United States. He didn't speak English very well. He carried a Korean English dictionary with him. He had a couple $100. He landed in California and decided he was going to make a go of it here in America. And so he went off to school and obtained a degree of manufacturing, engineering, technology, and then started to raise a family. In that family was a young girl who showed at a very early age an interest in snowboarding. Her father, this Korean immigrant with no measurable skills and little proficiency in English, decided that he would help her, and he did. He made great sacrifices so that she could develop her skills in snowboarding, and ultimately she became one of the best in the world. As of yesterday, at the Olympic Games in South Korea, she was awarded a gold medal because of her skills in snowboarding and the fact that she won this half-pipe competition against the others, some of the best in the world. This is Chloe Kim. And Chloe Kim, this Korean-American girl, like Teresa Lee, developed an amazing skill. Today, all across this country and all across the world, we are saluting this amazing 17-year-old girl and the skill that she developed. But let's remember, Chloe Kim's story is the story of immigration in America. Chloe Kim's story is a story of people who are come to these shores determined to make a life. They don't bring wealth. Many of them don't even bring proficiency in English. They certainly, in many cases, don't bring advanced degrees. They only come here with the determination to make a better life for themselves and a better country for all of us. That's the story of immigration. It's a story of this Korean-American girl, Chloe Kim. It's a story of Teresa Lee, another Korean-American girl who was a dreamer and inspired the introduction of legislation which we're debating this week in the Senate. There's a difference of opinion among senators about immigration. Several senators have said we have too many immigrants. We have to limit those who come to this country. Some of them have even said we got to be careful that we select only the best and brightest to come into this nation. Well, I'm the son of an immigrant myself, and I can tell you for sure that my grandparents and my mother didn't come to this country with any special skills or proficiency. They came here with a determination to make a better life, and they did, for themselves and for me. That's my story. That's my family's story. That's America's story. This week, as we debate immigration, let us not only applaud Chloe Kim for her great achievements as a first-generation American, the daughter of an immigrant who came here with nothing. Let's applaud Teresa Lee, too, who was determined against the odds to use her skills to make a better life for herself and a better country for all of us.